boxing in the dark. Then you came and caused a spark. That's a four-alarm fire now. I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now that your lips are touching mine, I'm beginning to see the light. Boxing in the dark. Then you came and caused a spark. That's a four-alarm fire now. I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. I'm beginning to see the light. I'm beginning to see the light. Oh, I see. Thank you.
You got the list, yeah. Don't you want? Okay.
And we're saving New York for the last song.
All right. Bass. Just the bass intro. 1, 2. Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter or Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Fill my nights with song. Let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Fill my nights with song. Let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. And you and you and you. Thank you.
Like I wish you love kind of thing. Is that all right? We did two. What do you got? Tangerine. All right. Yep.
You could do it in a bossa.
Bossa. That would be better. Just trying to mix it up a little bit. 1, 2.
Tangerine, she is all they say, with the eyes of night and lips as bright as flame. Tangerine, when she dances by, senoritas stare and caballeros sigh, and they toast to Tangerine. Across every bar, across the Argentine. Yes, she has them all on the run, but her heart belongs to just one. Heart belongs to Tangerine. lips as bright as flame. Tangerine, when she dances by, Cinderella stare and Cavalier sigh. And I hear toast to tangerine across every bar, across the Argentine. Yes, she has them all on the run, but her heart belongs just to one. Her heart belongs to tangerine. Her heart belongs to tangerine.
Okay. They don't want to start New York, until the front row is filled.
We're doing that as our last song before the show.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I already told you.
I'll be bringing the front row down, and then we'll know we're ready to start the program. So it should be all on time, but just in case.
Just give us,
I'll tell you time for New York.
yeah.
Don't get around much.
Okay. D.
G.
G. About that fast? 1, 2, not too bad.
Yeah, go ahead.
2, 1, 2, 3.
Missed the Saturday dance. Heard they crowded the floor. Couldn't make it without you. I don't get around much anymore. Thought I'd visit the club. Got as far as the door. They'd have asked me about you. Don't get around much anymore. Darling, I guess my mind's more at ease. But nevertheless, why stir up those memories? Been invited on dates. Might have gone, but what for? Softly different without you. Don't get around much anymore. Saturday dance. Heard they crowded the floor. Couldn't make it without you. Don't get around much anymore. But I'd visit the club. Got as far as that door. Well, they'd have asked me about you. Don't get around much anymore. My darling, I guess my mind's more at ease. But nevertheless, why stir up old memories? Been invited on dates. Might have gone, but what for? Oh, it's so different without you. Don't get around much anymore. I just can't bear it without you. Don't get around much anymore.
Ballad? Let's do as time goes by. See? Ready? Go ahead. You can set it up. You can do the last four measures. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. You must remember this. A kiss is still a kiss. Sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by. And when two lovers woo, they still say I love you. On that you can rely. No matter what the future brings, as time goes by. Moonlighted love songs, never out of date. Hearts full of passion, jealousy and hate. Woman needs man, man must have his mate, that no one can deny. It's still the same old story, a fight for love and glory, a case of do or die. The world will always welcome lovers as time goes by. Moonlight and love song, never out of date. Hearts full of passion, jealousy and It's still the same old story. Fight for love and glory. A case of do or die. The world will always welcome lovers as time goes by.
Told you to never play that song.
One, two, one, two.
What a day this has been. What a rare mood I'm in. Yes, it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Yes, it's almost like being in love. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I would swear I was falling, swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. What a day this has been. What a rare mood I'm in. It's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Yes, it's almost like being in love. All the music of life, it seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I would swear I was falling, swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. Yes, it's almost like being in love. Almost like being in love. Thank you very much. Went by Nat King Cole.
He has it in front of him.
Come on, let's take the A train to go to Sugar Hill way up in Harlem. If you take the A train, you get to Sugar Hill way up in Harlem. Hurry, get on now, it's coming. Listen to those rails a-thrumming. All aboard, get on that A-train to go to Sugar Hill way up in Harlem. Come on, hit those wheels a-thrumming. Listen to those rails a-thrumming. All aboard, get on the A-train to go to Sugar Hill, we up and up, 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 up.
You need to point to the monitor. Forget it. I do too.
wish you bluebirds in the spring to give your heart a song to sing and then a kiss. But more than this, I wish you love. And in July, a lemonade to cool you in some leafy glade. I wish you health more than wealth. I wish you love. My breaking heart, and I agree. And I could never be. So with my best, my very best, I'll set you free. I wish you shelter from the storm, a cozy fire to keep you warm. Most of all, when snowflakes fall, I wish you love.
Think we're supposed to do it.
I wish you bluebirds in the spring to give your heart a song to sing and then a kiss. But more than this, I wish you love. And in July, a lemonade to cool you in some leafy glade. I wish you had, and more than well, I wish you love.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. These vagabond shoes, they're long and astray, and step around the heart of it. New York, New York. I want to wake up in a city that never sleeps, to find I'm king of the hill and top of the heap. My little town blues, they're melting away. I'll make a brand new start of it in old New York. If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York. that doesn't sleep to find I'm king of the hill, top of the list, hey, number one, top of the list. These little town blues, they're melting away. I make a brand new start of it. And old New York, and if I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. Come on, come through New York, New York, New York.
Ladies and gentlemen, our program will begin soon. Please take your seats and silence your cell phones.
It is the 100th anniversary of Nancy Reagan's birthday. What a legacy. She set such a phenomenal example for all First Ladies to follow. I'm just ecstatic to be a part of the board, to be here at the Reagan Library, and to be here at a time commemorating such an important moment for such a wonderful person like Nancy Reagan.
Ronald Reagan would not be president were it not for Nancy Reagan.
She supported and loved Ronald Reagan to such a degree that it gave him the optimism and confidence to carry out his program in making Americans proud to be Americans again.
This was a real partnership for his career in the service of the nation, and it's one for which we can all be very grateful, just as I am grateful for the privilege and pleasure of having known Nancy Reagan.
You did a great job helping in your own way as a spouse of the president, as a first lady, to help bring the Cold War to an end. That was good for everybody.
She wanted her husband to go down in history as a great president, as a peacemaker. She does understand that with Gorbachev, he potentially has a partner who could work with him on this. And she is just absolutely relentless in pushing for this to happen. She really was a lot more willing to trust the Soviets than a lot of us were, because she had a lot of faith in her husband's abilities as a negotiator.
They're certainly the most married couple I have ever known.
The two are inseparable in my memory, just as they were in real life. If Ronald Reagan had owned a shoe store, Mike Deaver once wrote, Nancy would have been happy pushing shoes and working the register.
This year commemorates what would have been Nancy Reagan's 100th birthday.
Nancy Reagan was a wonderful human being and a true American icon. In her years as First Lady, her grace, her poise will always set the standard for First Ladies for generations to come.
And it was through her revolutionary campaign against drug and alcohol abuse that millions of Americans learned to just say no. So on behalf of America,
happy birthday, Mrs. Reagan.
So Nancy, in front of all your friends here today, let me say thank you for all you do. Thank you for your love. And thank you for just being you.
It is the 100th anniversary of Nancy Reagan's birthday. What a legacy. She set such a phenomenal example for all First Ladies to follow. I'm just ecstatic to be a part of the board, to be here at the
Please stand for the national anthem performed today by Mr. Jack Corcoran from Monte Vista High School Danville, California.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Thank you, Jack. So, after a truly difficult year that's tested everyone, it's great to see visitors once again grace our library and museum grounds. And it is very special to have all of you here on this particular day to kick off a year-long celebration on what would have been Nancy Reagan's 100th birthday. I'd like to acknowledge several special guests we have with us today. If you'd please stand when I recognize you. Our own Congressman Mike Garcia, a great friend of the Reagan Libraries. Congressman. California Governor, the best in the history of the state of California, Pete Wilson, and former First Lady of California Governor Gail Wilson. Brian Schroyer from California State Assemblywoman Suzette Valadares' office. Brian. Ventura County Supervisor Bob Huber and members of his team. Bob. Connie Gavin and Joanne Cosberg, two of the co-chairs of the Nancy Reagan Centennial Committee. Author Karen Tumulty and her husband Paul Richter. Chaz Fagan, our sculpturist who unveiled his maquette of Mrs. Reagan on the grounds earlier today. Dr. Shanetta Weatherspoon and Rebecca Nagel and their wonderful foster grandparents. Hometown favorite. Lisa Cavelier, CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Pasadena. Eunice David, whose husband Hal David was a dear friend to Nancy Reagan. Of course, the hardworking and dedicated volunteers of the Reagan Library who make your visits and our work so rich and memorable. And finally, of course, our Reagan Library visitors to whom we are so grateful to see after such a long journey back to normal. Thank you all for joining us today to honor Nancy Davis Reagan. When Simon & Schuster contacted Karen Tumulty about writing the definitive book about Mrs. Reagan, at first she declined. She'd written just about every kind of story you can imagine, but she'd never written a book. And for even the most experienced of biographers, writing a book about someone with the breadth and the character and life experiences of Nancy Reagan would be a monumental task. But the editors persisted, and eventually Karen embraced the challenge. And boy, did she ever embrace it. There is no doubt about it. Karen has written what has become, and I am sure will long stand as the definitive biography, the definitive work on the life and times of Nancy Reagan. Then, defying the odds and the publisher gods, at the height of a worldwide pandemic, Karen released this, her first book, The Triumph of Nancy Reagan. It instantly became a bestseller. The Washington Post called the book deeply researched and compellingly crafted. And now, some late-breaking news. Just a few days ago, Karen was named deputy editor of the editorial page of the Washington Post, where she is also a recipient of the Toner Prize for Excellence in Political Reporting. Congratulations, Karen. Before joining the Post as a columnist for Time magazine, she penned more than 36 cover stories. And prior to her time at Time, she spent years at our very own Los Angeles Times, reporting on Congress, on business, energy, and economics. Karen received her Bachelor of Journalism from the University of Texas at Austin and an MBA from Harvard Business School. A little-known fact, particularly to Karen, is that I would like to go into business with her selling this book. In her research for the book, she uncovered stories even we at the Reagan Library did not know about. To say that she is thorough is an understatement. Within the walls of this beautiful library, we are surrounded by important historical artifacts representing the life's work of both President and Mrs. Reagan. But Karen is a storyteller par excellence, and the story she has so expertly written has added greatly to this body of knowledge. Her work helps us to know Nancy Reagan by painting a verbal portrait of the woman we are here to honor today. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Karen Tumulty, author of The Triumph of Nancy Reagan.
Thank you so much, John, and I will just be a few moments here. Nancy Reagan would say over and over and over again, my life began when I met Ronnie. But I will just briefly like to take you back to an earlier day, a day 100 years before this day, when a baby whose name at the time was Anne Frances Robbins was born in a New York hospital. It was the most inauspicious of beginnings that we would all find ourselves here 100 years later. At this moment, commemorating her birth is a story that is so unlikely, it's like something Hollywood couldn't have dreamed up. But Nancy, she was known as Nancy almost from the moment she was born. She was the product of a bad match between an ambitious actress and a not particularly successful car salesman. And by the time she was born, her parents' marriage was already effectively over. And Anne Frances Robbins would spend the next 8 years of her life essentially having been abandoned by her mother to live with relatives while her mother went off to pursue her career. These 6 very, very lonely years really did cast a shadow on her spirit, and I think a longing for the sort of wholeness and security that she finally found in her husband. And that is why she would say, my life began when I met Ronnie. But it's important to also understand where he was when they met. When this future first couple met in late 1949, on what Ronald Reagan thought was a blind date, I came up in my research with the fact that Nancy had been kind of angling to make their paths cross for quite a while before he actually was convinced that this was a blind date. He showed up for their first date literally a broken man. He was leaning on 2 canes because he had spent 2 months in traction, having broken his leg in 6 places in a charity baseball game. But spiritually, Ronald Reagan was in what he would later describe as a quote-unquote deep freeze. He was approaching middle age. His movie career was hitting bottom. His first wife, Jane Wyman, had essentially gotten bored with him and walked out, and she took their 2 children with him. And just as she had the emotional scar tissue of a very difficult childhood, so did he, as the son of an alcoholic. Ronald Reagan would say, "Then along came Nancy Davis and saved my soul." But no one, including Reagan himself, could possibly have imagined where his awakening interest in politics would lead the 2 of them. It's only by looking back that it is possible to really understand how essential a political partner she was. She helped build the scaffolding for the rise of one of the most consequential figures of the 20th century. Beyond that, she was her husband's ever vigilant protector through presidential campaigns and in the White House. But her final gift to Ronald Reagan, I think, is around us right now, because it would ultimately, tragically, fall to Nancy Reagan. As her husband is afflicted by Alzheimer's, it would fall to Nancy Reagan to become the shaper and the protector of his legacy. And this library, to her, was very, very much a part of it. She wanted it to be not just a monument to the past. She wanted it to be a way of looking forward into the future. And I think that is why at this library, it is where important political figures come to make their most consequential speeches. It is why so many Republican presidential debates are held on this spot. And I think, given how grateful I am to the incredible resources that this library makes available to people like me trying to do research, it really is wonderful to see. Again, this is not a museum. It is a living and growing thing. And I think that Nancy Reagan, no one could be more excited than Nancy Reagan to see what lies ahead in this next chapter. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Chief Executive Officer of the Boys and Girls Club of Pasadena, Ms. Lisa Cavelier.
Thank you. I was just transported, Karen, and it made me think of a couple of stories I'm going to actually tell. They're short. But when the Reagans left the White House to come back to California, I had the pleasure of serving them through the Nancy Reagan Foundation for close to 10 years. It was, it wound down, and then we had other places that we went and continued on with her work. And so I was really blessed to spend that time with her. Today I wanted to recognize a couple of other special people, a few other special people, in fact, who are here with us. First of all, Barbara Moran, would you stand or raise your hand? Barbara started and ran for many years the first Just Say No effort in LA County, so we're really pleased with what you did. And then also John Gustafson and Jeannie Walls, who were on our team at the Nancy Reagan Foundation. First quick story, interview day. Dressed to the nines, I'm in my 20s, new hairdo, new pumps, new suit. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I'm taken through the back hallways of the Beverly Hilton Hotel up to her suite. I'm sitting in my chair, just ready to go. This is Nancy Reagan. I met her once in a crowd, but this is the first time ever, and one-on-one alone. And I'm just ready. And in my mind, I thought she'd be in a red suit with beautiful pumps, maybe carrying a Chanel bag. I didn't know. And in she bounces from the bedroom area in running shoes and jeans and a big oversized sweater. And I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. But it showed me right from the very get-go that Mrs. Reagan could be that person who in her private life was very much like you and me, and in her jeans and in her running shoes, and was just very sweet and down to earth in those moments. I've never forgotten that. And the other memory I had was just a minute ago when they were playing New York, New York. We went to New York quite a bit. And in the later years, I think when she was caregiving, I remember one time going there, and she would stay in a friend's apartment, and there was always this cassette tape. It's been a while. And it was New York, New York. And we would put that in the living room, and she would just sort of, I can't say it another way, but sort of float around in the living room, sort of lightly dancing and just enjoying a moment away from LA and the burden that she had there, and that she was in New York for, it could have even just been 2 or 3 days. We would fly in and then fly back out. But I remember finding her in there, putting that tape in and just going, yes, it was such a wonderful, sweet moment with her. I became very involved when I worked with her with the notion of drug prevention and what that meant, and really trying to catch kids to stop the path down a drug-laden life early before they actually got started in that way. And programs like Just Say No and others were funded for a number of years through the Nancy Reagan Foundation. She felt, and it was backed by research, that prevention was really the key to stopping the drug problem in the country and to catching young before they ever got started. And Just Say No was really certainly one of those rally cries. We heard literally thousands of heartbreaking stories constantly, and I remember the impact that it had on Mrs. Reagan and how hard it was for her to bear to hear those stories. But now as the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Pasadena, and I brought Barbara from Pasadena, she's a neighbor, I'm blessed each day to continue much the same work, changing the trajectory of kids' lives, really helping them to find adult mentors, peer pressure, ways to combat peer pressure, academic success, all of those things that we know that make a difference for kids. And that really began for me with Mrs. Reagan. So, I was about to say so many years ago. And she was known for saying quite often, if we can help even just one child avoid the ravages of drug use, then it is all worth it. So while a lot of our work was pretty serious, and we were all over the country, and sometimes the world, but all over the country, working with groups that were helping to prevent drug abuse, we also had some fun. Not only just her dancing in the apartment in New York, but we had a lot of joy, a lot of fun, and there was a lot of joy working with her. One of the greatest rewards for me and for many others was to hear her laugh. In my mind, I can hear that giggle. It kind of started low because she kind of had a low voice, and then it went higher, and there she was with a higher pitch and just giggling and having a wonderful time. When something really pleased her, she would smile, tilt her head back, and just laugh out loud. Thank you.
her. Each day I miss her. Gee, what a thrill each time I kiss her. Believe me, I've got a case on Nancy with the laughing face. She takes the winter and makes it summer, but summer could take some lessons from her. Picture a tomboy in lace, that's Nancy with the laughing face. Have you ever heard mission bells ringing? Well, she'll give you the very same glow. When she speaks, you would think it was singing. Just hear her say hello. I swear to goodness, you can't resist her. Sorry for you, she has no sister. No angel could replace my Nancy with a laughing face. Keep Betty Grable, L'Amour and Turner. She makes my heart a charcoal burner. It's heaven when I embrace my Nancy with a laughing face.
Thank you, Jack. Just terrific. Governor Wilson and his wife, Gail, have been wonderful friends of the library and stalwart supporters of our mission for so long. Both Gail and Pete have been of service to the nation and this state now for 50 years. Gail Wilson graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Stanford University. As First Lady of California, she focused on children's health and math and science education and was instrumental in getting the California State Summer School for Math and Science program passed into law. I know she is very proud of that. She serves as the Chairman Emeritus to this day. She is active on the Gilead Sciences Board, which produces remdesivir, the therapy many doctors turned to at the height of COVID-19. And we are delighted that she's here representing all of the former First Ladies of California as an honorary co-chair of the Nancy Reagan Centennial Commission. As for the governor, after attending Yale on an ROTC scholarship, Pete Wilson served 3 years as a Marine Corps infantry officer before he went on to get a law degree from Berkeley. A short 4 years later, he was elected to the California Assembly, then mayor of San Diego, and then elected for 2 terms in the United States Senate. He definitely missed California's weather so much that he came back to be elected governor of California in 1990 and 1994 again. I'd like to invite our former governor of the great state of California, Pete Wilson, to the stage.
Well, thank you very much, John. As John has indicated, I have had a lengthy political career. And the nicest part, in many respects, was the fact that twice I was put into the company of the man for whom this library and foundation are named, and of course, his loving and lovely wife, Nancy, whose birthday we are celebrating today, 100 years after her birth. I was first involved in the fortunes of then Governor Reagan and Mrs. Reagan, when for 5 years of his 8 years in Sacramento as governor, I was in the state legislature. More exciting than that, considerably, were the 6 years that I spent in the United States Senate on the Armed Services Committee as someone who was a stalwart backer of a tough but reasonable foreign policy. And I think it's fair to say that Ronald Reagan, in his 8 years in the White House, delivered us from the Cold War with honor, with great, great goodwill. So I am here today to try to repay in debt the debt of gratitude that I feel to the Reagans, President, Governor, and Nancy. My wife, Gail, has also experienced what it is to celebrate after the votes are counted, the let's put it this way, the awakening to reality that occurs when you enter the governor's office in Sacramento. And Gail and I are delighted to be here with you to celebrate the centennial of Nancy Reagan's birth. Both Gail Wilson and Nancy Reagan had the honor and the challenge of serving as First Lady of California. So what is required of First Ladies? Of the thousands of pages of legislation enacted by members of the California legislature and the endless pages of regulations that spawned, the fact is there is no job description anywhere in those pages that defines the duties of the First Lady of California. Now, obviously, there is some expectation. Both President Reagan and I, of course, received the love and care from our wives that maintained our physical and mental health through the pressure and rigors of service as governors. But we also received from them, quote, suggestions. Suggestions prompted indeed by their truly thoughtful, deep, and enduring desire to be of service to others than just their husbands. Gail was instrumental in the creation of the California State Summer School for Math and Science, as John has told you. It's a program for high school students who are academically talented in the STEM fields. And if it slips your memory what the initials STEM stand for, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And it is our hope that someday, and it may be my expectation really, that one of these now bright high schoolers will be one day celebrated as the winner of a Nobel Prize in one or several of these fields. It is something that is certainly not beyond the realm of possibility and something to be hoped. Throughout her life, Nancy Reagan was an advocate for many causes, as you've heard. She was the one who first said, "Just say no." She fought for the rights of her fellow actors as part of the Screen Actors Guild. She took the stigma away from talking about breast cancer and made it perfectly acceptable to say those two dreaded words aloud by sharing with her own personal experience. She supported veterans, prisoners of war, those missing in action, and later in life, her heart led her to be an advocate for Alzheimer's research and caregiving while she cared for her beloved husband. But now, way back in 1967, as First Lady of California, Nancy Reagan one day visited a school for special needs children. It was there that she discovered the foster grandparent program, and it was love at first sight. From that day forward, she began a lifelong, cherished relationship with that wonderful organization. And now, more than 50 years later, we are pleased and grateful to welcome so many volunteer foster grandparents from the Ventura County and Pepperdine chapters who are here with us today. They are here first because of a duty they feel to help children in need of their help. And second, I think they feel rightly that they owe a debt of gratitude to Nancy Reagan, who never missed an opportunity to be an advocate for what their organization stands for, and that's helping children with special needs. In fact, this is a rather distinguished audience because it contains members from local chapters. The Pepperdine chapter in next year will celebrate its Jubilee anniversary. It is the longest running chapter in the country. In fact, I'm going to do the thing that is most dangerous, and that is for a speaker to attempt to pronounce names with which he is unfamiliar. If not with the names, I am more than familiar with the work of the foster grandparents. And those that are joining us today are those who volunteer their time, and I'm in a moment going to tell you how spectacularly generous they are with their time and their attention. They do that to enrich the quality of life for children in preschools, kids who are homeless, and those who are in community programs. As a foster grandparent, if you're not familiar with what they do, if you join up, why, they may just tell you that it's your duty this day to help rock a baby, or to feed the baby, or simply to play with the baby. And maybe you can help preschoolers learn their colors and shapes and develop their motor skills. I hope there's not an age limit on their teaching. Or if they tutor older children They do that in a number of subjects, the most important of which is reading. And in fact, I picked up on their very good work when, in a mentoring program that we had launched, we insisted that some volunteers come and be reading tutors. And guess whom we were able to recruit? The very busy, very hardworking, and ambitious young candidates for the MBA degree from the University of Southern California, who agreed that they would give at least an hour a week, and with the understanding that they would come back and tutor the same student each week, so that it was not simply a chore, it was a date, a study date, if you will. Now, I understand that many of you have been involved, but let me just take a moment to recognize some of the most dedicated of foster grandparents who are in our audience. Here today, we have Divina Kayaban, to whom I apologize right now, and Maria Medeiros, both having given 13 years of service. Wait, there's more. Pinky Price with 14 years of service. And Geraldine Winkfield with 17 years of dedication to these children. Ladies, if you are present, would you stand so that we can recognize and thank you? In 1982, when Mrs. Reagan had been in Washington with President Reagan for 2 years, she was able to speak with great passion about her belief in the foster grandparent program, and she was moved in 1982 to write a book. She co-wrote a book entitled, quote, "To Love a Child." And in it, she highlighted the stories of many volunteers like those who are here with us today. Later, inspired by her book, the brilliant and immensely popular composer, Hal David, whose wife was here earlier with us today, Hal David wrote a song with the same name, "To Love a Child." And then, to put the cherry on top, it was recorded by the incomparable Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra. God, you can't be that young. So let me just say that I can't think of a more perfect birthday present for Nancy. She would be so proud, and justly so. In her name, we honor you for all that you do, whether it is foster grandparents and children in need who receive from them the attention that they deserve, and those who understand that living in a free country requires that you perform some duties. With the rights come the duties, and God bless those who recognize that, including the many who have laid down their lives for it. They did it to make a more perfect union and to keep it. Nancy knew that, and certainly the president knew that. She would be so proud. Let me take the advantage of the moment to, in her name and in his, thank all of you who are here, who believe as they did. Let us keep this country strong and generous to those in need of help. God bless you all. In her name, I thank you.
Said the older to the younger giraffe, do you need someone to care for? Said the older to the younger giraffe, I'm available and therefore. Hand in hand they both went down, spent the day in Jungle Town. Anything that they can do, humans can do too. As one human to another, I'd like to question you. If it takes the sun and the rain to make a tree grow, if it takes the moon and the tide to make the sea flow, what does it take to love a child? To love a child. It starts with a smile, and after a while, a hug and a kiss. It takes no more than this to love a child. Said the bigger to the smaller raccoon, do you need someone to need you? Said the smaller to the bigger raccoon, if you need me, I will follow. Off they went to climb a tree, to spend the day most happily. Anything that they can do, humans can do too. As one human to another, I'd like to question you.
What's the question?
If it takes the sun and the rain to make a tree grow, if it takes the moon and the tide to make the sea flow, what does it take to love a child? To love a child. It starts with a smile, and after a while, a hug and a kiss. It takes no more than this to love a child. To love a child. To love a child.
We are fortunate to have federal, state, and local government representatives here today to whom we are so appreciative of their efforts to commemorate the centennial of Nancy Reagan. A few will be coming up to join us on stage. We will start with Student Leadership Program alum, current intern for us at the Reagan Foundation, and Simi Valley native, Paige Barella. Paige.
On behalf of the City of Simi Valley and Mayor Keith Mashburn, I hereby proclaim July 6, 2021 as Nancy Reagan Centennial Celebration Day.
I'd like to welcome Ventura County Supervisor Bob Heubusch to the stage. Bob?
It's indeed an honor to be here on behalf of the Ventura County Board of Supervisors. I had the occasion over the years to meet and have a cordial relationship with both Ronald and Nancy Reagan. They're wonderful people, gave a lot back to our community and our area, and I'm very proud to be here today on behalf of the Board of Supervisors. We have Linda Parks, Chair of the Board of Supervisors. Are you here, Linda, today? Matt Levere, Supervisor, 1st District. I don't know how many supervisors are here today. Linda Parks, Chair of the Board, 2nd District. Kelly Long, 3rd District. Myself, the 4th District, and Carmen Ramirez, the 5th District. We all are very proud of the legacy of the Reagans. And I've been to this library since it opened multiple times, and I'm sure all the supervisors have. And I thank you very much for being here today. We're very proud of the legacy that both Ronald and Nancy Reagan have left our area here, and our community, and the people that are here. And we followed in their footsteps. They were very, very admirable leaders here for us today, and I appreciate you very much being here today to honor them. Thank you very much. And I have a resolution signed by all 5 members of the County Board of Supervisors. Linda Parks from the 2nd District, who's the chair of the board. Matt Levere, Supervisor, 1st District. Kelly Long, Supervisor, 3rd District. Carmen Ramirez, the 5th District. And myself, the Supervisor of the 4th District. So presenting this to you on behalf of the County of Ventura. We're very proud to be here today, and we're very thankful that the Reagans chose this area to give back their leadership. Thank you for inviting us. We appreciate it.
I'd like to welcome Brian Schroyer, Chief of Staff for Assemblywoman Suzette Valladares, to the stage. Brian?
All right, thank you very much. It's been a lovely program. Assemblywoman Valladares is up in Sacramento, but she sent me, we have a copy of Assembly Concurrent Resolution 94, eligible to be heard on Thursday on the Assembly floor, and it marks today as a very special day, the 100th birthday for Nancy Reagan. Also commends her for a life dedicated to public service.
Thank you, Brian. Last but definitely not least in our book, Congressman Mike Garcia, if you'd please join us on stage.
Well, I'll be brief as well. John and the foundation, thank you for letting me be a part of this very special occasion to be able to take part in the celebration of Nancy Reagan's 100th birthday on what many of us consider to be Graceland is truly a remarkable experience, so thank you. I'll just say, and I'll be brief here, as the father of a 14-year-old and a 4-year-old, I think it takes a little bit more than just hugs and kisses. Sometimes it takes an awful lot of patience to love our kids, but God bless the grandparents who are taking care of our children. It is an honor and what Nancy would love to see happen on this very special day as well. I had the honor of submitting to the Congressional Record a proclamation in honor of Nancy Reagan's 100th birthday on behalf of the now 11 Republicans in Congress from the California delegation, which is, by the way, 50% more than it was a year ago, so we're making progress in that regard. We will reclaim this state. And Governor and Mrs. Wilson, I want to thank you for everything that you've done for our beautiful state and our country. It's been a long journey. You're not only icons in California, but also heroes and folks that more people should emulate, just like Mr. and Mrs. Reagan. This political world can be nasty. The spouses and the significant others don't get the better halves of those who serve, and in many ways the spouses and significant others are the ones actually serving in deeper depth and with greater sacrifice to our great nation. And Nancy Reagan did that with passion, she did that with grace, she did that with class more than anyone else. Simply put, we would not have Ronald Reagan if we didn't have Nancy Reagan. We would not have some of the things that make our state and our nation as precious and as valuable as it is if we didn't have Nancy Reagan. For him to have someone to come home to that knew his strengths, knew his weaknesses, made him better on a daily basis is a service to the country that we can't repay. We certainly can't repay it here in words alone in this celebration, but we can in honoring her and continuing the legacy of the Reagans. So on behalf of the now 11 Republican members of Congress representing California and Washington, D.C., I want to thank the foundation and John, this beautiful Graceland, the library here, for having us. We pay her respect on a daily basis, and we won't ever forget where we came from. We won't ever forget the sacrifices needed to make sure that this country remains the best country in the world, in the history of the world, and continue the legacy of the Reagans throughout our lifetime. So thank you, sir. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Congressman. If you'd remain on stage for just a moment, we'd like to invite the remaining program participants to join us on stage to wish Mrs. Reagan a happy birthday. That would be Karen and Lisa and Governor and Mrs. Wilson. There we go. There's a fan out a little bit. Yeah, you got your spot over there. Thank you all for helping us celebrate a first-rate First Lady, Nancy Davis Reagan. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our presentation. Karen Tumulty's book and other memorabilia may be purchased at our pop-up shop near the entrance of the library.